we go. We are going to dive in to a 111-page state RFP. So this is, it's very similar to a federal RFP. Typically, these grant awards or these contracts run anywhere from like $50,000 to several $100,000 per contract. I feel like what I don't want folks to do is get so put off by the number of pages to read that you end up skimming. So with that, give yourself time to not just be able to go through a proposal, but set up the expectation that you are going to read this proposal at least 3 times. I prefer of a proposal this size, I always print it out, and I put it in a binder. I start to have available not only a pen to be making notes, I have a highlighter. I have either tabs or post-it notes available so I can start flagging sections of an RFP. The first run that I read through a proposal, I am just reading it. I have no preconceived like what I need to do next. I am just trying to understand and get to know the funder and what their intent is. The second time, if I go through it the first time and I'm like, yes, this seems like there is good alignment. This seems like something that I should invest another run through. Then I will read it a second time. My second time reading it is when I start to highlight things and I start to fill out what's on the right side of my screen called the planning team matrix. You cannot put in this level of proposal without a team engaged. You can't do it by yourself. So having this planning team matrix is going to be really important for you to start as the grant planner or grant facilitator to start taking the time to put through. Again, my second time I'm reading it, I'm starting to go through and identify these tasks. And I'm just putting the tasks in. So right in the beginning, they're going to start talking about the orientation. Okay, somebody's going to need to go to that orientation. And if we have questions, so we're going to need to register for the webinar, we're going to have to show up. If we have questions, we're going to have to submit it to this person by this deadline. So that's up there. There's also the proposal packaging. Again, your submission may end up being in excess of 50 to 60 pages once you have all your attachments and everything in. And then sometimes some proposal asks for like multiple copies of different things, and other things it's just one copy. You want to have somebody who's going to be in charge, somebody who's like attention to detail, putting all that packaging together in the right way. Who's going to submit it? Start thinking through that. Is it a delivery in-person submission? Is it like you're going to have to FedEx it over? Is it going to be online? If it's online, does somebody need to register to be able to submit? So not only for federal level contracts, I know you need to do your SAM and all kinds of stuff you got to register for, but even for HCF, I know that we've missed out in the past on being able to submit because you needed to have created an account, which takes like 2 days before you get your account. And we tried to do it like the same day and submit, didn't work out. So being aware of all of that, thinking it through. As I read through here, I just started again, noting all the different pieces and the tasks. And on this sheet, I listed out for you to be able to go through again, just being cognizant that we're probably starting to get tired of information at this point. But it's really just going through it that second time, pulling out those different tasks that are showing up in the RFP and putting it in. You read it, you put it into your sheet. Everything from like the credentials, the TB screening, where's the copy of our tobacco-free policy? Where's our quality assurance plan? And then down into the actual narrative, who's going to be responsible to write the program overview? Who would be writing the experience and capability part? Who's going to do the financial piece? And then very importantly on the bottom, who are we going to be reaching out to ask for letters of support? Some things that I would like to share on that. Please don't ask for letters of support 24 hours before your grant is due. That's not fair on the folks that you're asking for the letter. Oftentimes it's very, very helpful if you provide them a template or at least some talking points of what to include. Also very helpful if you already provide how you want the header section of the letter to be formatted, so they're not having to figure out who they're addressing the letter to and what department and what grant it's in reference to. So the more information that you can be providing to the folks that you're reaching out to for those letters of support, the better it is. And then a piece that I think a lot of new grant writers may not be aware of is you can ask folks in the community to review your proposal. Within these state and federal level RFPs, they will provide you the scoring matrix that their grant reviewers will use. And so one of the practices that I always do is I start to think through, even in my planning process, who is a subject matter expert in this area that I'm applying for funding, or who may have even served in the past to review a similar kind of grant. And I reach out to them and I ask, we're going to be submitting something. If I send it to you 2 weeks in advance and give you a week to review, can you please review it against the rubric and score it? Just tell me your comments, what's missing. Sometimes things make a lot of sense in your mind, but the dots don't connect readily in the narrative. And so thinking through in the planning, again, who is your review team and who is going to be able to provide you feedback at that level. So I'm doing all of that as I'm reading through for the second read. In my third read, now I've gone through, I've highlighted, I have like pretty good idea of what things are. And I've become familiar enough with the 111 pages so that once I go to meet with my team and they start asking questions, I can quickly flip to the section and read through so that we're all on the same page and understanding. In that third read that I go through before I meet with the rest of my team, I'm going to be putting notes in here, things that I think is very, very important for the rest of the team to understand about the nuance of the RFP. Again, we're not even at the point where we're committing to do it or not, but here's what we may want to consider. Are we going to take the deep dive or are we going to pass? I'm also making notes in here if there's things that start to trigger like, this is going to cost us this much. So are we prepared in that sense? This is a grant that runs on reimbursement. So do we have the cash flow available to front all of the programmatic costs and then get reimbursed at a later date? I'm making notes for each one of these different sections of things that start to pop up for me as potential areas of concerns or potential areas of like, this is why I think it totally aligns. And then I would take this sheet to the rest of my team and we would start to talk through all of that. We would determine who's going to take the lead on different parts and put that into the assign to, agree on deadlines of when folks would meet deliverables. And then again, I always include a place to link to the document. If you don't have room in your sheet, you can always just hot link it by highlighting the word and then plugging in a hyperlink there. Well, that really brings us to the end. Mahalo, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you in a week. Aloha.